Welcome back. In this short video, I'm going to go over some of the particulars specific to an instruction manual. Again, you'll find some overlap between this and the other kinds of formats. The purpose is clearly what stands out in this particular design. A manual is going to provide instructions about how to use something, how something works, or how to take care of something. All right? So I do like to reiterate that I know we did an instruction assignment in this class. That was a very basic, short set of instructions that differs from this. If you choose an instruction manual option, this needs to be, fully developed and a lot more complex than that earlier assignment. Different types that exist. There are user manuals. We always receive those when we buy anything new, right? There's teaching types of manuals, tutorials or training manuals that you might see in a workplace setting. Operating manuals for equipment, and then service manuals, as I mentioned in the last slide, how to take care of things. So just like in any other kind of assignment, when you need to think about your purpose, this is really what you want to have defined in your head clearly before you jump in, is what is the purpose of this manual that you're designing? And how you set this forth is really going to depend upon not only the purpose, but your audience, right? Because you're going to change your language and how you might organize things depending upon your audience. Are these folks familiar with whatever it is you're talking about? Are they brand new? For example, if you were going to create a manual about how to learn to play a musical instrument, would you assume there a certain level of musical knowledge already? Or would you be teaching them everything, from musical, how to read music all the way to how to play the instrument? That's really going to impact how you design this, as well as age and different kinds of experiences and backgrounds. So, what do they know? What are their goals? And I say age, what I'm really talking about is, their ability to understand nuance, what kind of word choice are you going to be using? How far do you need to break down those instructions? How are you going to be using the visuals to aid in an audience's understanding? Those are all things to keep in mind. If you are creating a manual that is going to be used in-house, in a workplace setting, you're probably going to use a lot more jargon because the folks that are going to read your manual are going to understand it. But it's really important to think about the language that you're using and ask yourself whether your audience is going to know the terminology or whether you need to really clearly define that. And again, the level of detail is going to depend upon the familiarity with whatever it is you're explaining, as well as age and experience. That'll really help you decide how you want to detail and break everything down. So just like in a brochure, you want to think about the structure. You want to think about the visual, what you're communicating visually. And you can use a lot of the same things that we would use in any other kind of design that's incorporating visuals and text together. You can use white space. You can use headings. You can have lines. And you will break all this up with appropriate visuals. So you're doing this in order to create something that's very logical, that's easy to process and move through without any kind of confusion. So all of these different options are going to help you to present something that's clear and understandable. It's really important to test these things. We talked about that a lot when we wrote the other set of instructions, just because sometimes, especially if you're very familiar with it, it makes it tough to know how detailed you need to be, right? So test it for readability. Make sure it's easy to read and understand, and everyone understands all the different terms you used and so forth. Test it for accuracy. Does the end product jive, right? And then test the ease of steps. Oftentimes, earlier drafts you might find you've included too many steps, you've gone into too much detail, or alternatively, that you've really left some stuff out. So do all those tests and you should be in good shape. As I said in the brochure, video, I'm going to say the same thing in this one. Regardless of whether you already know you're going to be creating an instruction manual, that's great. I would appreciate it if you would watch the other videos as well, because I think there's a lot of overlap of information, and you never know when you might be called upon to create some of those other formats. Thank you.